Hello and welcome back to my Let's Challenge of Final Fantasy XIII. In the last episode, we made our way to Eden Hall and saw Bartandalus sort of, waxing lyrical once more about how Cocoon is so, screwed and all that sort of stuff. But now we are here in Eden Hall, ready to try and get all the way, trying to attack Eden, actually get inside Eden's sort of sanctum, as it were. To do that, we must start off by facing off against a few of these sort of pulse nasties that have made their way here. As somehow, we definitely did not deserve that preemptive, but we got one. Especially because, we should get a stagger. I was going to say, we should get a stagger there. And it's going to make this very easy, which is nice. Always appreciate a nice, easy battle. So yeah, I really didn't think we deserved that preemptive, but there we go. So we get a preemptive on this Tyrant. We will then take on the Juggernaut opposite, which also shouldn't be too much of a problem as well. So I don't think he was actually protecting anything, so that's just a battle you can do for fun, for some experience. We have had a lot of experience gain. We had like over 100,000 experience and then 50,000 just from the last episode, so we're definitely gaining experience at a pretty rapid rate. I should mention that previously I've said that I remember in the last episode we were talking about having those two treasures on the essentially that you can only take one of because an adamantoise comes along and breaks through the floor and ruins everything. I should mention that you can get both those treasures. There is a way, but you would have to kill the adamantoise beforehand. And obviously that being pretty difficult at our current stage. You could, is the thing. You could, there are multiple ways of doing so. You could use Eidolons. Eidolons is a solid method. Another one would be another one you could use would be, for example, you could spam death. So adamantoids are susceptible to death, and indeed that is a relatively viable early sort of stage tactic against him, is to just essentially spam death until it works. So we're going to start, again, the nice thing about putting debuffs on this guy is that if we do put debuffs on, then he has to remove them with his Steam Clean. And so, and that obviously is time that we have to really easily just wail on him to get that stagger as high as possible. And if he goes for Steam Clean now, I'm pretty sure we'll probably stagger him before he finishes it, so we should be able to keep these, hopefully. Yes, there we go, lovely. We'll get him launched just for the early on stage here. As you can see, he's not vulnerable to any elemental weakness, so we can't really exploit end fire, etc. All of that sort of stuff, as well as we can with the other enemies around here. After this, we'll have some interesting battles against, sort of soldiers and stuff like that as we sort of make our way up to the next section. And then we'll have the battle with the Proudclad at the end, which is a fun battle. Again, it's the same Proudclad as before, so completely impervious to all debuffs, I believe, and therefore we may well need to sort of consider a different tactic. So those look like standard archangels. Yep, they are just some standard archangels. So these guys should go down nice and fast. 2, 3, 4. Lovely. There we go. So take out those guys. Pretty sure they sort of they get more difficult as we go along. So yeah. So now we've got what, a bunch of Inquisitrixes or Inquisitrices and a Celebrant, I'd assume. Nope, just an Archangel actually. So that's fine. So Protect would be nice here, obviously. Okay, so I provoked them all, so they will all now all attack me. Oh jeez. Protect me. Keep healing me, please. Thank you. Quickly get some heal, some health. Lovely. Get those guys. So we should just. Oh no, we don't dispel. We actually just slow these guys. So yeah, you can see Somersault Kick still does a lot of damage, which is why we just need to be a little cautious with it. But by this point, when we're down to just the two of them, we can just relentlessly sort it up, and this, you know, she'll be staggered now, and then we'll launch and kill. Beautiful. So that wasn't too bad. Not too bad. Oh, we actually got, I don't know why that was worth 5 stars, I didn't think that was too fast, but there we go. Next one, we got some, yeah, is that just the same battle, just with one less? Looks like it. Which is weird, but there we go. It's like, why not just dispel them away? So we actually got a bit of bad luck there. We were hoping to blitz in the middle of that group, which would have actually probably been very, very effective. So just cure it up. As you can see, Bravera does not last long. That is also the same for when we use it. Bravera, whilst a very useful status, is one that does not last long at all. And so you do need to be careful when sort of applying it. It's great for, obviously, you know, it's great if you just want it for a stagger or so, because you'll pretty much slaughter the enemy in front of you. But, you know, I think at the same time, bravery at the same time is very much more useful on in certain longer battles. So anyway, we get around here. We've now defeated all of these enemies. I think now we get a nice little cutscene.
Okay, what are they up to?
See?
So, there we go. So, these guys get turned into Seath. And if you're wondering, you know, essentially the way I always read into that is sort of like the fallacy just gives them either like an impossible focus or a focus that is, or, you know, the limit. I'm assuming that they can sort of control like the time limit for those focus as well. And it's just sort of made insanely fast so that there is literally no chance that they'd ever be able to actually complete it. We have a power band, which I think is, yeah, plus 150, which is nice. Rather than the royal armlet that we currently have, what I'm thinking is we will, just for these battles, throw on some catalogues here. So we want to collect a catalogue just for the item scavenger ability. We want the items that these Seath drop. These Seath are incredibly annoying and really, really dangerous to us because they have the capacity to cast instant death. They are one of the only enemies in the game that can cast instant death, and this makes them incredibly threatening to us. And so we will need to get some luck because it's very difficult for them, like, instant death, much like with Vanille casting instant death, it has a very low chance of actually hitting. It does some magic damage, but it has a very low chance of actually hitting. We also have Anathema, which is not so much something we need to worry about. Can cast poison, stuff like that. But yeah, we want to attack these guys, like, properly. They can inflict Imperil as well. Jeez, that is a nasty set of debuffs that they use. Is it slow, poison? What's happened to the other one? I was going to say. You can't still be in the air, can you? So obviously they have their physical attacks as well, which really aren't anything too much to be worried about. But yeah, it's just the instant death. The instant death, there you go, instant death. Can cast it. Makes this horrible sound. Does, okay, 1600 damage, which is a lot. Like, we cannot deny the fact that that is actually quite a lot of damage just for a one spell. But the point is that it has the chance to cast instant death. So if they do that on your lead character, it's game over. You know, and I lose a life because I get bad luck. So all of the battles with the sacrifices are going to be scary, as we actually get some Scarletite. Do I get two? If I actually got two Scarletite, that would be amazing. Components. We did just get two Scarletite, awesome. So what we'll do is we will now go back here and we will upgrade Lightning's weapon because we can. Upgrade weapons. We need to upgrade Lightning's weapon, which is the Lionheart. And we go down here to our Scarletite and we use that, and that will take it to its next stage. So in this case we have the ultimate weapon. As you can see, it has increased stats. Still has quick stagger. Another final thing that I haven't mentioned before, I don't think, is that when you finally use a trapezahedron on your weapon, it removes the special ability of that weapon. It moves it into a different synthesis group, which, it takes away its synthesis group essentially, which means it can't get any useful like abilities when combined with other items. So that's important to think about. Like, obviously it will have a far greater potential to do damage, but doesn't necessarily give you the same sort of abilities as the other weapons may well do. So Lionheart, we get that, and now what we're going to try and do is try and get that up to maximum, essentially. So we're going to throw on 36 fragrant oils, which takes us XP bonus to ×2. We're going to try and get it to ×3. I don't know how many fragrant oils. There we go. And then, now most of these weapons, essentially it takes like several 100,000 by this stage. So I'm just going to have a quick check to see how far, because you can find all the essentially what we're going to do now is obviously we're going to use our ultra compact reactors, as many of them as possible, essentially. So let's just have a look. So ultimate weapon takes. It takes a while. Unfortunately, I can't find it immediately. So I'm going to assume it takes 4. Most weapons take 4 ultra compact reactors. As you can see, we have, you know, many 100,000 experience by this point. I've seen most take 4, so I'm going to assume 4 and hope that this takes us to star. It does take us to star, so that means this is now our best ultimate weapon. And you can see the stats are now 213 as opposed to 6, as it, or however low it was previously. We also have the Spiker Defenders, which are another weapon which also need to be upgraded with. You need to be upgraded with. It's 52 minus what, 47. Let's go 45. There we go. So yeah, so the series, you know, these are another one that need to be boosted by Scarletite, need to be transmuted by Scarletite, and now we're here. So again, so the particle accelerators, they're great for like little bits that you need, and then. Sorry about that. So the particle accelerators are great for sort of small little increments from, you know, in between levels, especially at like this higher, essentially this, when you're going from level 20 odd to level 50 odd, when you're, you know, upgrading your second levels. And then the perfect conductors are good at like, in the first stage if you want to find. Essentially it's far better, I would always say, to actually sort of look up what you need, just because that will actually tell you, you know, that will actually tell you, as Murky Ooze actually, 32 Murky Ooze actually get us to that, which is really good to know as well. So yeah, we'll just continually, we'll just augment this one. As you can see, we're not going to get anywhere close to actually what we need for max, but yeah, this is just an example of, you know, how you actually do it. Is you use your another example of how you do it. So you know, obviously you use your organic materials, and then you upgrade. You know, you upgrade with a boosted set of your other materials. I mean, we're actually at 38, so we might as well see. What we can do is we can actually go to shop. It'd be nice to obviously have everyone maxed out, because we're probably going to use Saz in the upcoming boss battle. So we'll go to Motherload, we will sell, and what we can sell is gold dust, especially because that isn't a one of those. A plush chocobo, so you can see what a plush chocobo is, just essentially money, free money. Credit chips, incentive chips. That gives us 100,000 gil, and some perfume. Actually, that's the other. There are some other things like moon blossom seeds. I think also allow you to do stuff like that. In terms of it allows you to buy our items that you just sell for money, and then we can buy some ultra compact reactors, and then we'll go back into here, go back to upgrade the Sirius sidearms at level 38. Again, we'll try and get to ×3, because there's literally no reason why you shouldn't try and get to ×3. This is what these items are used for, as opposed to, unless you just want to sell them for money, essentially. Tear of Woe. There we go, ×3. 38, I'm going to hope that it's 2. Let's go with 2. That does take us to star, wonderful, so there we go, cool. Okay, so that is that. So we now have all of our weapons maxed out. That is why I wanted the items. So yeah, so these sacrifice are great for farming money, because their drops are as I've mentioned before, Scarletite, which you can sell, and perfumes, which, as you can see, sell for a premium at like 12,500. So, two really helpful items that you can get from them. And what we've got to avoid is essentially, getting hit by instant KO. But obviously, once you sort of, if you were to come back to this area, having, completed most of the game or something like that, if you were to come back to here, you'd obviously be able to take out these guys much faster. So, unfortunately, we get hit by a defaith there, so I have a feeling that Fang probably still does way more damage with physical attacks anyway. Even if she is defaithed and the guy has half damage. So once more, we'll shove on some debuffs. Lightning has a whole host of debuffs, so Veil would be nice here, but there's almost no point in trying to, go for everything. So we hit Pain, which means he can't do physical attacks. Are you weak to, no, you're not weak to any elemental stuff, which is interesting. I was just thinking, along the lines of the vampires that we've seen before, which are obviously weak to elements. So, therefore, and fire and all that becomes far more useful to us. As we get another perfume. So here we obviously have a Vernal Harvester battling against some sacrifices. Again, a useful battle to use Quake on. Ah, man. It's annoying that we can never sort of get that off, but there we go. Okay, so the Vernal Harvester is going to be hit by a lot of poison. So I'm actually just going to ignore him for the moment and try and get these sacrifices. Get these sacrifices done. This might, well, it'll probably end up being slower overall, but it's also safer for us to take out the sacrifices first, which can definitely kill us. As opposed to the Vernal Harvester, which has a chance to kill us, but only if we're being silly. Especially if it's losing health pretty fast. Okay, so it's casting Death. Can it actually kill the other? If it could kill the Vernal Harvester, that would be really interesting. As it extra proves. Nice! So you can see that the Vernal Harvester, much like the Astroprotofloran, can change its elemental weaknesses, which is quite cool. Okay, so now that that is there, let's, he still has deep. So we should get a kill here. Damn. Jeez. Attack him! There we go. Slightly annoying that we obviously didn't get that slightly quicker kill, would have been nice, but there we go. Sweet. And now we just have some solo sacrifice battles before taking on the Proudclad once more. And Yargarosh, who somehow survived. We have no idea how he survived the point-blank shooting that he obviously, that was so cinematically shown in that cutscene in Palom Polom. And yet somehow he survives. Who knows? Anyway, we'll get staggered now. We could, well, lovely. Okay, so we take out that sacrifice, we have another sacrifice, and then one more battle to finish off chapter 12. And then we only have one more chapter left. It is Final Fantasy XIII after all, so therefore we have 13 chapters. And one hell of a boss battle. Lovely, there we go. We take care of the sacrifice, the final sacrifice, and now we'll obviously want to do some clearing up our Crystarium, make sure that everything's sort of nice and high. You can see I've sort of just been trying to get my way into the middle in most of these, completely forgetting that I still have certain... you do get Imperil. I can't believe that I've sort of had Fang out the entire time as a saboteur and did not know that she could get Imperil. That's a bit silly, but there we go. Lightning is done in terms of abilities, I think, aside from Stopka. How much is up there? 18,000. So we'll get Stopka, lovely. On Hope, 21, 7 out of 7, 16 out of 17, so missing. It's almost certainly going to be Stopka. Yeah, it's down there, okay. So we'll just get some more magic, because Hope loves his magic. Saz is missing an ability. But where? Ruinga, sorry. So we get that, and we'll also go for the ability on here, which I'm sure is also Stopga. Yeah, 18,000 down this way. Cool. Vanille. So I think you can guess, just from the current state of affairs in terms of our Crystaria, that we're not going to get a Crystarium increase at the end of this this battle. And indeed that is true. We do not get a Crystarium increase here. So there we go, and now what we need to do is we need to go to our paradigms and create a new battle team with So see, on the one hand, see, does that work if I control, say, Hope? I would say that's probably better. I mean, the other option is I control Saz, and we have Saz. We can either use the boys again, which there's trouble with is having only one medic, but then again we do actually have better TP this time than the last time where we were really struggling for TP, so that works. We do want Tri-Disaster. I think we actually want Aggression. We definitely want Sin, Sin, Sen. Sin, Com, just because it's important that we get all of our buffs up as fast as possible, so having 2 rounds of that is really good. And then here we can have Rav, Sen as well, because Mystic Tower will be important. Yeah, so we have Mystic Tower, we have Tri-Disaster as well. I might go instead for a Relentless Assault, just because having a Relentless Assault is always handy, because it obviously slows down that stagger. Equipment. We need to remove off both Lightning and Fang. So, on you, we will get a Platinum Bangle, a Resist Physical, and a Magic plus 100 or a Strength. Magic plus 100, and then Snow gets a Strength plus 150, HP plus 300, and a damage 5%. Where is it? Resist damage 5%. There we go. Lovely. Okay, cool. Let's just see what our lead paradigm was Sin something, so I don't think it has the med in. There we go. Time to take on the Proud Clan.
Looks like no one was spared.
He really wants us dead.
Okay, so here we go. Let's see how we fare in this certain battle. So, of course, we want to get everyone. So, Moon Blaster does very little. Good to know. We both have Protect now, which is obviously going to be very important to us. Yes, we will Libra. Yeah, we don't need to know the common drop and the other drop. And I don't really want to waste a second Libra, because obviously that would take us down to 2 TP, which would mean that we potentially couldn't get all of the So we're just going to keep in aggression here. We don't get too often to use, you know, these sort of multiple commando paradigms, which is always quite cool. You can see we're doing pathetic damage. This is a long attritional battle. It's made easier. Eventually he goes into a mode where he does way more damage to us, but we also take Great. So, it's important that we get some buffs up and we actually heal. So he goes into aerial defense mode. So essentially there are certain modes that he has which will actually put him at a disadvantage, as it were. He'll eventually get into a point, I think, where he actually casts De-Protect and De-Shell on himself, but also Bravery and probably maybe Bravery and Faith, you know, just to sort of, as you can see, he is charging, which is never something you want to see on these sort of enemies. So see they're charging up an attack and you're just like, please stop. Okay, so we continue to do pretty hefty damage to him. And thankfully, the really nice thing about having Saz, like, is just because his attacks are so sort of out of kilter with everyone else's, it does mean that you sort of end up with these constant periods where you know, he can't do anything because we're just, you know, pinning him down with our attacks, which is really cool, like really, really helpful as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So losing haste here, as you can see, so here's actually what we can see here is the sort of the effect of our augment debuffs. So for example, okay, wait, retaliatory strike, nope, protection. So what we're actually seeing there is the fact that Hope's debuffs, oh, so sorry, Hope's buffs, I should say, are don't last nearly as long as mine do, and that's because of the weapons I'm using. The weapons, you know, the Spiker Defender, or the Sirius, whatever weapons, I can't remember the exact name. But the weapons that we're using here actually, you know, are really useful for us because they increase the duration of our buffs by, I think, 30%, maybe at some point? I'm not entirely sure. Oneric Maelstrom does a lot of damage. Okay, so you need to keep everyone on their toes. Muon Blaster now does more, as we would expect. We will continually sort of go between now, we may well want to go to Mystic Tower. So obviously he now has Deprotect and Deshell. I think he's also, he may well have lowered like the amount of health he has. So obviously we can launch him here. We want to keep him launched as much as possible. Ah, man, that's annoying. Okay, techniques. We are summoning. I summon Brunhilde. So yeah, again, the aim is just to get that Gestalt as high as possible, and then we will transform into Gestalt mode and have Brunhilde do a fair amount of damage, but the main reason that we do this is obviously because of the benefit it gives us in terms of healing up our party. I could have used Renew, but I felt because we were in Stagger, and because it would take forever for Hope to put all of his buffs back on, that would make more sense to do it like this. I think having maybe something like Tireless Charge, which is double con medic, would actually sort of be more helpful to us here. Okay, triangle, hit it. And now his stagger is permanently stuck at that 5 of 8, 9. We will hit him multiple times with our stack. Throws it in the air. And he goes back into aerial defense mode. So we've taken off, what, a third of his health? And the important thing to note is obviously he can't do what he's just done twice. So he can't go into like retaliatory strike twice, I don't think. I think it's important that we continually try and keep him nice and staggered. Like, I don't want to see what happens, you know, once he's finished charging this, unless it's just the Oneric Maelstrom attack that he used before. Obviously, having Hope boosted is frustrating. So we're going to be in Relentless Assault, just because what that does is obviously raises that stagger. Heal up, Hope. And get that haste back on. Those are the important ones, at least. So we're going to do really good damage here. I'm going to try and squeeze in a Scourge. And indeed, I think, yeah, so we got two big hits in there. I didn't mean to do that, I'm going to go into that. This is the same as it was last time, so... yeah, okay, techniques. Damn, we don't have Renew, I'm dead. Ah! That's so annoying. Man, that's really, really annoying. Okay, so we need to retry. I hate retaliatory strike. Okay, so we can't even afford to leave, bro, really. And we can't let hope, well... yeah, retaliatory strike hurts, is the moral of the story. Normally, I think... obviously, if we had Combat Clinic, it might be different, but at the same time, you know, Lightning still has lower health than... we should definitely have an aggressive paradigm within a... with some healing aspects to it. That would help a lot, I think. Like, this early stage of the battle is not hard, but obviously all we're doing is we're just building up to the point where he then, you know, we just need to stagger him twice and keep our health high and have enough buffs so that when he goes into retaliatory strike we can sort of survive those hits. And hope that Hope, you know, makes the right choices. So it almost doesn't matter what paradigms we use at the start as long as we're, you know, staggering him. We could well, you know, be in Tried Disaster and that would sort of work equally. Because obviously he loses all of his health. It's really annoying. So, he should go for a Scourge. He does indeed go for a Scourge. Gets a nice, you know, full damage hit, essentially. And once more, we hit second stage. We do need some healing. Again, we want to try and stagger before. So you can see our TP is slightly gaining each time because we only have 4. It does look like that. Unfortunately, my previous strategy of obviously using a Eidolon won't work here, and that what we should probably do is just use Renew to keep us nice and healthy. So into aggression we go. Get some nice damage off here. It all means virtually nothing. I'm annoyed that we died again because, again, this is a battle that we don't usually die on, and obviously deaths here don't, like, in the context of the Let's Challenge aren't so important because the death here actually will just be cancelled out by the fact that we pick up a trophy for completing this chapter. Okay, so there we go. He gains all of his health. And, you know, gains his ability to start hurting us a hell of a lot more. Ah, we didn't even get the chance for a... Okay. Good healing. Keep it up. At any point get relatively low, we need to sort of... Okay, I think that is... There we go, awesome. Really, really good. Great work. Okay, so What we're going to try and do, so the aim is to try and kill him within 2 staggers. If we can kill him within 2 staggers, we'll look really good. So obviously now Mystic Tower becomes sort of more useful. But I think we still need to, you know, still need to be using aggression and relentless assault as our main damage dealing paradigms. Lovely. Yeah, having tireless charge I think would actually make this a lot easier. I probably should have changed paradigms when we failed that first time. So rather than go to a healing paradigm, I will just renew here. So the aim is to do way more damage. So last time we had him at well under half health by the time this point. So we are doing much better than last time, which is really good. We're noticing that my buffs are starting, my initial buffs are starting to run off now. So we do hit a 999, lovely. So back to prudent planning. He's going to go back into aerial defense mode, and once more we need to stagger him fast because of the charging. That's the problem with Hope's buffs just don't last long enough. Like, Snow's just lost Protect and Haste, which is terrible. Okay, so we'll go into this because what this means is that he can keep that he can try and maintain that stagger nice and okay, we need to stagger him now. We need to stagger him. It got to 90%. Good, lovely. Okay, so keep him off balance. We will obviously need to renew at some point, probably once we swap. Renew once more, lovely. And now we have more than enough health that we should be able to survive these last few turns of stagger before we kill. And there we go, down he goes. Oof, thank goodness. So yeah, so we just didn't do enough damage that first time. He essentially does... The battle is essentially repeated. The first time you get through, he shows off retaliatory mode, and then you have essentially the same pattern again. He goes down, and then he goes up into the air. And you need to do enough damage between him being down and in the air the first 2 times to then survive retaliatory mode when it comes in again, because then obviously... if you can survive retaliatory mode easy, then you don't need to worry about that, and you can just, you know, the battle will just go on longer. But I found that a lot easier.
Rush, it's over.
One of my soldiers. I see.
Why are you doing this, Rush? I mean, haven't you done enough?
Enough. Under FALC orders, I've orchestrated mass murder, all to answer the fears of a panicked populace. For a people utterly dependent on the FALC. It was the only solution I could offer, even if that solution was a farce.
Then, you knew the FALC were using us?
I believed their rule was best for Cocoon's present and future prosperity. But it seems I misjudged their benevolence. If this is my punishment, I accept it.
So, you're just gonna let everything go to hell, is that it?
You're right. One thing remains. This is SciComm Director Roche. Attention all SciComm and Guardian Corps units. Suspend l'Cie operations. I repeat, suspend l'Cie operations. All units should focus their efforts on evacuating the civilian population. I do not issue this order as an absolute. You are free to make the choice.
Ross!
Go. You're here to save Cocoon, aren't you? Or was that a farce as well?
Stay alive. We'll see you when it's over.
I'll trust in your humanity, l'Cie. The fate of Cocoon is in your hands. This is my end. The end which I have chosen.
Apologies once more, the recording cut out again, which is why you saw essentially I copied that cutscene into that section from another video, as opposed to managing to as opposed to it sort of continuing. But we are now here at the end of chapter 12. We're going to get a trophy for finishing chapter 12. There may well be some more. Yes, I think there is some more cutscenes just before. But we're very close to the end of this chapter, and with the end of chapter 12, we'll start. We'll have the beginning of chapter 13 and the beginning of the final chapter of this game, and we'll be able to see how we fare against some of the tougher enemies here, because we'll have. So this should be the save for chapter. Yeah, there you go. Save for chapter 12. Lovely. So it is that one that we want to overwrite. And there we go. Okay. So here we are in the Eden Hall Reliquary, Orphan's Cradle. I believe there are some cutscenes at the start here, but rather than show you them now, we'll save that for the start of the next episode. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of my Let's Challenge of Final Fantasy XIII. We lost a life, but then we picked it up again. So I think we lost 3 lives over the course of chapter 12, and started on 7. We picked up 1, so we should be on 5, I believe. I believe we should be on 5 lives. So could be better, could be worse. Looking pretty optimistic. We should be able to finish this. Should definitely be able to finish this, because the battles through this, whilst difficult, are certainly not impossible. So, I hope you have enjoyed this series. I hope you will continue to watch as we reach the end of this series. It's been a long series on this channel, probably the longest series I've had on this channel, and it's definitely, I've had multiple breaks from recording it. So yeah, it's continued on for a long time. It would be great to actually get it done and then we'll be able to see whether I can continue on with it or whether we'll, do something else. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will join me on the next.